So when it comes to magic in the sixth world, it's not only imperative that you talk about mages, but it's really important that you also talk about shamans. Hello everyone, and welcome back down here to the Gamer's Den with me, your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire, still talking about 5th edition Shadowrun and magic of the sixth world, and today we really do need to talk about shamans real quick. I thought about including them in last week's episode regarding mages because functionally they're the same thing. The changes that they saw from 4th edition to 5th edition really saw a lot of the rules and mechanical differences stripped away from them to make them like 95% the same. There's only really one hard rule in place that makes them distinct, and everything else is largely fluff, lore details, aesthetics surrounding the kind of character. But before we get into all that, if you're new here to the channel, go on down and hit the subscribe button and become a regular member here at the Gamer's Den. Or if you chummers have already listed yourself on such a legendary roster, then go on down to hit that like button and share the video far and wide. But now, let's keep talking about shamans here. So, when it comes to shamans, the first thing that you need to know is that shamans view magic as an interconnected force of nature that is meant to be respected and lived with in balance. They don't seek to bend it to their will like a Hermetic Mage might, but they entreat it to enact their designs. They cut deals with it. They persuade the different spirits and utilize magic to not further their own ends, but also try to bring things back into what they believe to be a balance. Shamans harbor a deep respect for magic and for the spirits, and often have mentor spirits that teach them their magic, so they don't typically learn from another shaman. They can, but just as often you'll find shamans who are learning from mentor spirits that teach them the different ways. It's definitely got a lot of what I see and have experienced as a lot of old Native American folklore, the different fox spirits, ravens, crows, all these different creatures that taught mankind how to live and function within nature and within their environment, things like that. So it really leans into that aspect pretty hard. And with all of this, because they believe magic is a force that's connecting all things, they have a focus on nature and spirits when it comes to their magic, obviously. And they use more of a force of personality approach to magic with a depth of respect for spirits. I can't emphasize that enough. And when I say force of personality, they're using their charm, they're offering up words of respect and making offerings to different spirits in order to, as I said before, entreat them to help enact their designs. So with this in mind, they have a much more personal relationship with magic rather than the standoffish scientific view that Hermetic Mages typically have. And shamanic traditions are dictated more by culture and associated totems, if any totems are present. So there's this much more. It's hard to describe how what I picture specifically when it comes to the different totems and culture. You have wolf totems, crow, raven, turtle, all these different creatures, and also Shadowrun introduces other things like insect spirits and toxic spirits. Toxic spirits being a representation not only of the degradation of spirit within the sixth world, as mass industrialization and corporatism really seeps into the fabric of the world, but also just the huge levels of toxicity and literal pollution that take place, like the Sox zone over in Germany, just this massive irradiated area where the I can't pronounce German. I don't know why I try. I apologize, but basically a dragon was shot down and landed in this area. Like a dragon woke up, went on a rampage because it was angry and confused and a bit hungry after so many millennia in this deep slumber. as it waited for magic to return. And so, yeah, you have huge, massive amounts of pollution that affect shamanic magic, or at least the way shamans approach magic. And so toxic shamans are definitely something seen as vile and revolting by most of other magic users in general, but particularly to other shamans. Same thing with insect spirits. Insect spirits and their shamans do not have a great reputation around them, particularly when it comes to certain events that were depicted in recent Shadowrun games. I'll let you find those out for yourself. And to that much more spiritualized process and approach to magic, shamans will use lodges rather than ritual circles or organized libraries/laboratories. These will be things like sweat lodges, medicine lodges, kiva, temazcal, etc., things like that. And also, this is the big rule distinction between Hermetic Mages and Shamans, is that Shamans will use their charisma and their willpower stats for spellcasting and resisting drain. So that's the big difference right there, is that switch between logic and charisma. But this does also mean that you can functionally make shamans fairly distinct. By leaning into charisma, you can also, if you so choose and have the points to do so, develop some face skills, which makes shamans mechanically distinct from their mage counterparts. It's one of those small things it's a small distinction, but it has larger effects with how things play out just by making a stat difference there. And then, where things stay largely the same though, shamans can choose freely from the magical skills or skill groups: sorcery, conjuring, and enchanting. Shamans can cast spells, conjure spirits, or enchant magical items. And at creation, shamans may know a max number of formula for their spells, rituals, and alchemical preparations, equal to their magic rating times 2. So, functionally, like I said before, 95% of shamans, things about shamans are basically the same as Hermetic Mages. It's mostly the fluff and lore surrounding them that makes them distinct. It's that different approach to magic that really helps to emphasize their differences. That, and the fact that you're relying on charisma over logic, suggests, again, that much more personalized approach to magic, that ritualistic aspect that leans into traditional cultures. By no means are the North American tribes the only source. You also have Central and South America. Then you have the different traditional peoples in places like, say, Mongolia. The Mongol peoples still have their traditions. People of various different nomadic tribes. I mean, you think about Africa and the like the Yoruba people. They have a deep, rich traditional culture that definitely could produce many, many shamans, as well as mages. I lost my train of thought there, but you get the idea. You have many different kinds of shamans and mages out there, and these are just some of the most surface level things. Once you dive deeper into the different totems and spirits that could be mentoring shamans, you can further divide them up. You have insect spirits, toxic spirits, and fire, wind, earth, all the different animal spirits. And with magic included as well, that could even include dragons and the like. And for the different Hermetic Mages, you have different Hermetic traditions that could really help to, even if only aesthetically, still change up how they approach and look at magic. So your limitations really only your imagination and the ability to make that imagination fit neatly enough within the rule set. So go forth and have fun, my friends. But what do you think? Go on down to the comments below and let me know your thoughts. Did you like today's video? Did you dislike it? Hit those like or dislike buttons either way, and go down to the comments and we'll engage in discussion down below. And, like I said earlier, if you're new here to the channel, go on down there, hit that subscribe button, and become a regular member here at the Gamers Den. But with all that said, I've been your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire. Thank you all so very much for your time, and you all have yourselves a good night.